Thank you guys for joining us on the SpyShack Podcast once again. And we have a doozy today because we're going to be talking about I think, a pretty good episode of Survivor Ghost Island. But before we get into anything, I want to just go ahead and introduce everybody on the panel here. And when I introduce you guys, I want you guys to give me one word to describe the premiere episode of Survivor Ghost Island. Randy?
Hey, I'm doing good. Glad to be back. My one word that I would use to describe it would be historical. I don't know. I loved the Survivor history.
Mark?
Hello, everybody. I'm doing okay today, and it's been a very exciting 2 hours of Survivor. And my one word for the week would be overexcitement.
And,
that way. Yeah.
And Kim, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, and I just want to say that I love and I miss my son every day. And my word is unnecessary. And I'll get to that part when I mean it.
And I'm your host, Perspective. And I always know I'm gonna ask this, and I still never prepare for it.
I even wrote the outline, and I forgot to think of one.
I only came up with the word like an hour ago, so
Well, that's more homework than us.
I'll go with I don't know what I'll say. I'll think of something later on and come up with it.
Come on.
Good stuff.
No, you're not getting out of this. You make us answer.
I'm gonna end up stalling the show, so I'm gonna keep going like that. I don't even know what I'm gonna.
Fine.
Scary, I guess. I don't know. So, guys, we are in full swing of Survivor Ghost Island. Something I think we've all been pretty much waiting for. Since we saw, well, first of all, since we first figured out what's going to happen, and then when we first saw the preview. So, what did you guys think? Without giving too much information about the premiere, other than more than just the one word, of course.
I really liked it. I loved seeing, as I've been saying all along, I love the art design. I love the kind of spooky factor. I love how everything has a little bit of Survivor history in it. I like it. Everything has a purpose. Everything's there for a reason. I like that idea.
Yeah, I'm gonna go off with Randy there, and I loved everything about the premiere. I loved that they went to a challenge right away. I loved the excuse me, Ghost Island. Everything had meaning, and I really liked it a lot. I wasn't bored, so it was good.
Yeah, big props to the art and props department for finding everything and putting everything on that Ghost Island, and throughout the connection with the camps and tribal council, everything just worked together beautifully, and you get this sense of mysterium around this idea of kind of the island talking to you and telling you what to do and things like that, and telling you about the history of the show. So I enjoyed that part of it very much.
And what do you guys think of the tribes being split up and right away having to set up a captain or a leader who has to right away put people in for a challenge?
I love it. I love whenever they have to make decisions, like think on their feet like that. And anytime that they're doing something, a normal everyday thing that they have to do on Survivor, but they have to make a strategic decision, I love that.
Yes, I love it too. I sometimes would be fearful of being the one that's picked to be the leader, because sometimes that can backfire on you later on. But I love that they came together, and it didn't seem that anyone was saying, pick me, and they didn't pick that person, or, so to speak, force someone into it. So I liked that.
So let me get this. Did Chris volunteer, or did they?
100%. 100%. He said, "It's obviously me." Like, look at me. It's obviously me.
Oh my God.
Chris volunteered, but there was no one that volunteered that didn't get picked.
Yeah, I agree.
It wasn't like Jonathan getting up there and saying, "Pick me," and like they said no.
But it's not just getting picked to do delegation for this challenge. As we can see throughout the episodes, it turned into something else, and I think that's really interesting as well, where they just kind of let that label stick onto them, after the challenge.
I think Brandon more than Chris, though. I think Brandon looked more of a leader than Chris. Excuse me. It could just be an age thing.
Well, let's talk about the decisions they made. They chose two people, one to do the physical challenge and one to do the puzzle. And Brendan picks Sebastian, and then he picks what's her name?
Michael.
He chose Michael.
Michael. So Sebastian
Brendan chose Michael.
Yeah.
Chris
Brendan
chose
Michael.
Sebastian.
Brendan, Michael, and Laurel.
Laurel for the puzzle.
Des and for the puzzle for Chris, and Michael Sebastian for the physical. I don't know, guys. I don't know what Chris was thinking when he picked Des. She didn't look like she was too happy about going out there. But I guess it's the first what's it called?
First impressions were weird there. I was shocked that it wasn't Kellen. I think when you look at that group and you see Kellen out there, like,
yes,
that's your puzzle girl, which we'll talk about that later. She proved it. But I thought that seeing Brendan and Michael and Laurel together at the beginning, I love that three. Like, those are three of my favorites. I was very excited that they had a chance to kind of bond at the beginning. So I think that was great.
Yeah, I did too. I don't get Chris's choice with picking her Desiree. How do I say her name?
Yep.
Des for the puzzle. She looks more like a physical competitor. So I really didn't understand why he chose her, but we'll see that it wasn't a great choice in a few seconds. So
well, the physical part. Well, first of all, let's talk about this challenge. This first challenge, it looked pretty tough on the physical end, and it took its toll on Michael. But then when it got to the puzzle, I don't feel like Laurel was moving that fast either. I didn't feel like she was.
Laurel was definitely ahead of Des. Looking at the way her puzzle was, she basically had the top half done. Like it was, and Des just looked to seem to be moving the same pieces over and over. Like towards the end of the time, you don't really see any sort of like outline of the puzzle coming together. When in Laurel's side, you definitely see progress.
And you see,
it's not like Laurel was about to finish.
Yeah,
but still, I think it was pretty clear to both the puzzle makers and the captains that Laurel was going to end up winning that one. So Chris better cut his losses and save their fishing gear.
You think?
It was a good choice by Chris, by the way.
I'm really good at slide puzzles, and one thing that I can tell you that you don't always have to set up the first row right away.
No,
you kind of have to work backwards and then kind of work it backwards, And so that's why I said I have to be able to say if Dez's was way off or not. But I mean, whatever. Chris ends up 14, and would you guys like to have seen them finish it out either way, or just?
I liked the way it ended. I thought that made for a lot of drama. That made for kind of a cool scene. I think that was the right decision.
And I'm going to jump into the chat real quick. We have Patty, Caroline, Blake, and Geronimo on the chat right away.
Hey guys,
and Chris is on there. Doug is not on today. Maybe he's sick or something. he might be sick from agreeing with so much with Randy from last.
It was a lot last time. I'm glad you guys could join us. It's good.
So Chris forfeits, which at least it saves him the fishing gear, right? But on top of that, the other tribe gets the eggs and the
rice.
No,
well, no, they both got the rice, but they got the flint, but they also got the massive kit to build their. Which, if I remember correctly, the Manolo still had a pretty big shelter even without that kit. So
Absolutely, that was what was interesting because Manolo definitely ended up with the better shelter even without the shelter building kit.
Probably
Yeah.
Dominic.
And Wendell.
Yeah.
yeah,
You're a furniture maker and a construction worker. They're going to get that together.
they have a big old autumn
Absolutely.
there.
But before we get to that, I want to ask your opinion on what you thought when Dominic was the one that raised his hand and said, I don't agree with what Chris' decision was.
Dominic can't help being that guy. That's Dominic.
Yeah.
That was exactly what I said in our preview, where he can't help being aggressive. Like in everyday life, even not in just a game, I think he's a very just aggressive personality where he always has to say something even when it doesn't matter. When there's no reason to say it, he's still going to say it.
Yeah.
I think that's just Dominic, and I think that's going to end up being his downfall in the game at some point in time.
No.
But I just think that was a bad way to start. Like, it was
exactly. You just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah.
Regardless if you agree or not. Because the thing is that Chris made the right decision. Because had he not pulled that and Dez lost, then it would have been, you knew she was going to lose. Why didn't you pull it? Now we have nothing.
Well, see, that's why I kind of wanted it to finish, because I'm showing some bias here as to why I wanted it to finish. Because it actually would have helped Dom when he actually spoke up and say, I wish we had made a different decision.
Dom made a lot of bad decisions in this 2-hour premiere. And I guess we'll have to get to some of his questionable decisions, and we'll get to that.
I don't think. Oh, we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
And I don't know if we'll agree. We'll see.
All right. So, before we move on to the next thing, anybody want to bring up anything that we haven't missed anything? I don't think. Right.
Oh, we're good.
All right. Go. So we get Gonzalez, Donathan, kind of joining up together there at the beginning, but it doesn't look like it lasts that long. And Dominic, Wendell, and Chris and Sebastian all kind of. So we have these little pairs kind of happening on both ends. What was the one that actually stood out to you from either tribe?
Well, Chris and Sebastian are the closest. It seems like they're bonding. But
Bros.
The Aquaman.
They're bros.
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely don't think that they're strategically strong. I think that they're physically strong enough to go a little further, and then they'll be gone. I don't really see. And I have Chris on my draft, but I'm not going to defend to say that someone's this strategic mastermind if they're not. I don't think he's a complete moron, but I definitely think, his alliance with Chris and the bro alliance is, I don't know,
Yeah, I thought we had some interesting combinations here. We see the two biggest ones that we kind of see. We see Chris and Sebastian. We see Wendell and Dominic. Later, we see Brendan and Michael. There's a lot of little alpha male twosomes going on throughout the tribes. But yeah, you see Chris and Sebastian kind of connect pretty quickly off the front, and they seem like very different people, but they talk about how they're so similar. But I think they just are originally from the same area. So they connect on that for now. At that point in time in the game, you're looking for any connection you can with people.
I like that Wendell and Dominic connected. Said that they look very close in his opinion, and I agree, because I think Wendell's able to see, around the hard exterior that Dominic, or the kind of abrasive exterior that Dominic.
Well, and if Wendell's able to be a calming force for Dominic, that would be huge. That would be so helpful for Dominic. That's what he needs. And Wendell seems super chill.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to be really helpful if he can calm Dominic down.
I mean, is there any way to calm him down?
I don't know how much, excuse me, you can calm Dominic down.
I mean,
No,
Dominic is either going to be.
I think he has his
either going to be a
ability.
meat shield. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Dominic is one of the people who stayed true to his pre-show interviews. He's pretty much what I thought we were going to get. There are people who were different than I thought, but he's one that was absolutely stayed true to who I thought he was going to be.
Go ahead, Mark.
Dominic's definitely going to be a meat shield for Wendell, but if people see that connection between him and Dom, that might be more of a detriment to Wendell than helping him. But they're definitely going to take out Dom before Wendell.
So Caroline said she wanted to shove a sock into Dom's mouth when he talked, which is I don't know, is it the sock that Jacob used to look for clues?
Let's get to what's important here. Yeah. Jacob lost his shoes.
Oh my God!
Like
that was
a lot. Like that's like that was the like. Okay, I don't like Jacob. I'm so glad he's gone. He really bothered me throughout the whole episode, but this wasn't a good start.
I can tell you, pre-show, I was hoping that Jacob gave me Ryan from HHH vibes.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, maybe he'll be like that. That's what I was hoping for in the pre-interviews, but it's not what I got. It's absolutely the complete opposite of what I got. He definitely was not a Brian.
A super fan, of course, but I think he was way too much. He was nerding out too much, and he was too neurotic.
He was kind of a jerk.
Yeah, and he wasn't
really a jerk the whole time. Like he was kind of like, I don't know. Like I thought he was like the nerd that's a jerk. You know, the one that's like, I know you're gonna make fun of me, so I'm just gonna be an ass to you.
Yeah,
I think he really bothered me a couple different times in the episode.
Yeah, well, it probably goes with his social. He said he has problems with socializing with people, and you can see that he's probably uncomfortable.
He also said he had worked on it, and that he believed that because he had worked on it, he was going to be really good, and that did not show.
Yeah,
and he was really. He's so the opposite of Michaela, but at the same time, he has the same kind of issue that they can't see how they're coming off, because he's like, hey, you think there's idols? Let me go search over here.
Yeah, I think that he tried to textbook play this game and not really have a strategy, but thinking he had a strategy. Like, I know this game so well, I'm going to do A, B, C. And instead of coming up with his own strategy, going through with the flow, I think he was trying to copy other people's strategies or basically correct it.
In his mind, he has this image of him playing this game so well, and then like his moves are like so visibly obvious with neon signs to other people that he's not even seeing that he's that obvious to other people.
No,
and that's kind of what really irked me and kind of made me fascinated with this game. It's like, how do you not see this happening?
So So let's take up in a bit, because he's shown a lot in this premiere, and we're gonna have a reason to talk to him about him a lot.
Oh yes.
So what before we do that, what was worse, losing your shoes or doing the Dan Fold and losing your banana hammock?
We don't need to answer that.
All right, so let's get to the immunity challenge. And guys, what do you think of the immunity challenge? I think it was pretty tough.
Well, I think it's really interesting because if you listen, this wasn't the intended first immunity challenge. Like they had the one that we saw in the second half. The water one was supposed to be first, but there was weather issues or something that made them not be able to be out in the water. So they had to hurry last minute, paint all that stuff, and get finishing touches on it when they thought they had 3 more days to work on it.
So is that why some of the paint looked a little
probably? And it sounds like it was all hands on deck, even including like Survivor Press out there helping them like get stuff together like night before. So I thought that was really interesting.
It looked hard.
Yeah, it looked.
I mean,
really
they
hard.
were
The amount of
struggling.
Yeah, But I thought it was really interesting. I liked that, which we knew about it going into it, that the winner of this one was going to pick someone from the other tribe to go to Ghost Island. I really like that idea. But what did you guys think of the actual idol itself? This is something we always kind of talk about. Is what did you think about that idol?
I don't hate it, but I don't know. I didn't really love it either.
It's very generically
I thought it would be a little bit more impressive, especially if it's representing all these bad mistakes of past survivors. So when I saw, I'm like, really, that's it? Like, there couldn't be more to it to represent these mistakes. I was thinking maybe like skull and just something.
There were some skulls on it across the top, but I did think it was. I thought it was cool, but it was underwhelming.
It was underwhelming. That's like covering the face or something.
I would have probably gone with like whole bunch of tiki faces jetting off of it somehow in like random directions.
I have high hopes for the individual necklace, but we'll see.
It's gonna be the stick.
We'll see. It's gonna be a stick.
I thought this was a fun challenge. So as we see it go through, the purple tribe, as we'll call, or Naviti, or whatever we want to call it right now, they take a slight lead on the physical portion as we get to it. But it was exhausting seeing everyone pulling. Like, that looked heavy. Like, they were pulling with everything they had and
they were
budging.
Grunting. I mean, this wasn't something that was easy. These people were pulling with everything they had.
Absolutely.
I mean, the thing didn't have wheels, and they had to pull this thing through like what looked like a roller coaster kind of thing, and that must have been tough going uphill with that thing.
But the standout to me in the challenge was 100% Kellen on that puzzle.
Oh, my goodness.
Kellen took charge of the puzzle for her tribe and made it happen. And hearing from the Survivor press that were actually out there watching this first challenge, I think Andrea even posted about it earlier today, is she killed it more than you guys can imagine. Like that it was so impressive seeing her get up there, one, be able to like solve the puzzle, and two, being able to take charge and tell her tribe what to do. I love Kellen. I'm very excited about Kellen. I have very high hopes for her. She ended up being Josh Wiggler's winner pick. So I think she has a lot of potential. I thought that was a fun challenge to see, and it was nice to see someone like her in such a physical challenge be able to still stand out and show her tribe how important she can be for the future. What do you guys think of that?
I
agree.
Wasn't really sure what to expect from her, although I did like her pre-season interviews.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to translate out here on Finland. And I really liked the way she actually handled herself, not only in the challenges, but actually back at camp. So I think she can go far as long as she doesn't look too much like a threat to everybody else. I think she can go up.
That's what I'm saying. I think at the beginning, like, her problem she has right now is she's a small, weaker girl. But if she can show herself right there at the beginning to her tribe that, look, you guys can't get rid of me. I can solve puzzles like crazy. Like, I think that will save her to the merge, in all honesty. And then at the merge, she becomes invisible for a while they pick off the alpha males. And then by that time, you're to final 7, final 6, and she's in a good spot. So I think Kellen has a lot of potential. We'll see how that works. When you never know with numbers and how you can get to a bad situation, especially with all the swaps that I think we're going to see this season. But
so let's go ahead and move on to.
I wanted to talk about something at the challenge. I want to talk about Gonzalez. I thought that this is when she starts standing out as being a little bratty, as not nice, as shutting Donathan up. This is when I said, whoa.
Yeah.
Like, she's not even letting people help direct, and Donathan was trying to help. He had ideas, and she basically told him to shut up.
Which is what I said earlier, is that we saw them kind of connect right away, but then it didn't last.
No, it didn't. And I'm not at that point I was just like, whoa, I was wrong about Gonzalez.
Yeah.
So earlier I had said the Manolo tribe was the purple tribe, but no, it's the Nativi tribe, right? Nativity.
Nativity.
I think that's what Patty put there earlier.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what is it, Nativity?
Nav-
Try
Naviti.
Itzy. See, I can't even say. I don't even know what it is. So they win. They end up sending Jacob, which Jacob's little kind of
speech like we're the best tribe in history. Whatever.
I get what he was doing, but I feel like it was bad by showing his hand and saying that yes, that's what I wanted, because now they know what his game is. So I think I see Jacob's game a little to where I can see where he wanted to do, but then he's right here, then he just like jumps over here and
he's
he
a
goes
super fan who can't help but brag about his game. Like,
yes,
if he could have shut up for 5 minutes and then brag about it in confessional, awesome. Do that all you want. Like, you can let us believe you or not if we think you actually did that on purpose. But the fact that he has to play the game and then immediately rat himself out and brag that he did that, that's how you can't play it. That's the bad type of super fan.
Yeah. So he first person to Ghost Island. Well, I guess second person right after Josh Wicker, but first person officially on Ghost Island, and we see Ghost Island.
It's great for it to be him, as such a fan who can understand and respect everything that is at Ghost Island and everything that Ghost Island is. I'm so glad it was him. He's probably one of the best ones it could have been. I think that was a huge break for everyone, for it to be someone who knows the game and can look around and be like, oh, that's the Immunity Idol from China. Oh, these are the Snuffers. I think that's huge.
Yep.
Yeah. When they went there, when Jacob went to Ghost Island, I was like, this is just so amazing. With all the snuffers and the signs, and just then I guess going to see if you can get an advantage, which is what we come to see.
Yeah. So what do you guys think of the way Ghost Island plays?
I liked it. I really liked the idea that where I don't know if they had to do the urns in order. I don't know. I'm assuming they did because they started from the left.
Like it.
I think it does look like it. But I really liked the fact that Jacob had to risk something for a chance to really win something. Like that, if he would have not gotten the legacy advantage that he ended up getting, he would have had to lose his next vote, which, whatever. I think at that point in time that he needed to make that decision. It really sucked for him that he had to immediately get rid of his advantage.
Yeah, it wasn't an advantage. I'd be so angry. Like, what is this garbage? Because
absolutely. But
Sierra at least got to hold on to it.
Yeah, for 30 days.
I mean, basically, Jacob had to give it up right away. It reminded me more of Ryan's advantage than it did of Sierra's advantage. And I mean, I think he made the right choice of who to give it to, I guess.
More of a Devin, right? This isn't an advantage.
Yeah. Well, I think Fishback brought it up a lot on the know-it-alls, and I thought it was a really good point. I really am a fan of these advantages that they're more about making a social connection. They're more about building a future relationship. I think that sucks for Jacob. I really do. That's what he earned. But I like these ones that are investing in a future relationship, where kind of how Ryan had to identify Chrissy early. And but the thing is, they also, with the legacy advantage, this is really the first time that these people know a legacy advantage exists. We've seen legacy advantage in 2 prior seasons, and neither of those 2 seasons did they know what a legacy advantage was going into the season. Mm-hmm. Now they kind of know it's out there, and especially when we are talking about poor Survivor mistakes, they just got done watching Game Changers before they came out here. Game Changers had just finished, so they know about Sarah Lucina. They know about Sierra Dawn Thomas. So you got to expect that some of these fans and most of the people that are probably watching are going to know what a legacy advantage is and expect one to be out there.
The thing is, I think they really screwed him hardcore with this new rule on the secret advantage. I think they could have at least let him keep it until the next into the next round, so that he can show something to his tribe mates and say, I got this. And even if he had to give it up, at least they have seen it and know it's real.
Yeah, because they knew he had to come back with something. So
let's talk about his game back at camp. I mean, what he ended up being, a pretty good looking fake idol for the time he was out there. He was out there one day, one night, or
one night.
And then he goes and he tells everybody the biggest lie, of course. I mean, what are you gonna do? And then he pulls out the chicken idol. I mean, what the heck?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty poor play out, but let's backtrack a little bit and go back to the Manolo camp or Malolo or whatever.
Malolo.
Orange. Let's back up. And not a whole lot happened at camp after Tribal Council. We really just see Donathan mentioning Gonzalez and Gonzalez mentioning Donathan. That's really all we see. And then the rest of the tribe is just deciding what type of strength do we want? What's more important to us right now? And that's what leads us into Tribal Council. Tribal Council, they all basically say it would have been Jacob if he was here, but he's not here, so we can't vote him out. So we have to figure something out. So I have an issue with someone getting up at the first Tribal Council.
Yeah,
it's your first one. Settle down. I don't know. I'm all for people getting up at Tribal Councils when it's later, the Malcolm vote was a big one, and all these different votes that happened that were big, linchpins of the season. But it's vote number one. I thought that was a little presumptuous. I did like what all went down there with. I think the piece that literally made me laugh out loud was Michael trying to talk to Jenna,
Libby?
one of them, and basically interrupted Probst. And he's like, "Oh, sorry for interrupting." And that cracked me up.
I can't. Jenna,
Gonzalez kind of curtsying at the end when she was done with walking around talking to people. That part did make me laugh, but I thought it was a little excessive when it was pretty obviously, in my opinion, gonna be her.
And I like that Donathan kind of separated himself, and he didn't get involved in that because I think he knew he was safe, and he said, "You know what? Let me not get involved in what she's doing because I know I'm safe, and if I try to get involved in this drama, they might flip this vote." I mean, I think that it was always more her than Donathan ever. I think that they just didn't like her. And, strong is good, but if you're not someone who I can count on, who I can trust, I don't want you. She was never a team player. From the get-go, she wasn't a team player. The smartest decision was getting rid of her over Donathan. Because Donathan will be loyal.
So at the beginning of our, not the beginning, but as my last pick with Gonzalez, I picked her. I'll talk a little bit more about her in a little bit.
Well, you can go ahead and do it. I think we're good now. I think we're at that point where you can give your goodbye to Stephanie Gonzalez.
So Gonzalez was my last pick of the draft, and I thought she was going to be a good player. But I mean, the reason why I picked her last. Now, I'm going to give this credit, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about Stephanie rather than Gonzalez in this little thing here. I'm going to give more credit to Stephanie.
Oh, I'm so upset that we missed how good she was in those interviews.
To me, in the preseason, I thought she was going to be more like a Debbie kind of thing.
Yeah, me too.
And a little bit more strategic. Now, I think the reason why she took Gonzalez out was because Gonzalez, even in the pregame, was able to, from what I heard, she was the only one to say she's gonna be trouble. She's the one that's gonna be strategic. She's the one, and I don't like her. I don't want her here. Mm-hmm. So I think that Stephanie knew this, kind of felt this, and decided that I better get rid of her before she gets people talking around here and to get rid of me. So yes, she did it to get Jonathan as a number, but she wanted to go ahead and get rid of someone she knows is going to end up hurting her at the end. So I'm going to give this credit to Stephanie, and Gonzalez is I think could have done better, but I think she got outplayed by Stephanie, and now there's only one Stephanie.
The thing is, I think Gonzalez falls into the Simone Nguyen line of survivors, where they aren't really that social. They aren't really trying to make alliances, and their RBF is kind of strong. So that kind of puts people on the wrong mental direction regarding them. So so thanks for
she
calling.
was nasty from the start, and I was disappointed because I picked her in another one of my drafts. Because I thought that she was gonna be good. I thought when I saw her interview, oh, she got a good head on her shoulders. She kind of understands this game, and I mean, she thinks she was voted out because she came on too big of a threat. No, that wasn't it. Because we have a whole lot of people who are a big threat. You were voted out because you behaved like a nasty bitch.
I will say though, no, I do think a lot of the girls saw her as a threat, as a social threat. Yeah. And Stephanie Johnson specifically calls that out. But I do think that what we saw on the TV show was her being kind of rude and bratty.
Yep.
But I do think she was also weaker. I think she was good socially in the long run. I think she could have been a threat.
Yeah, because if we just point to Gonzalez's manner while she was out there in the game, we're taking away from Stephanie's play, and I think Stephanie really deserves a thumbs up here at what she did, and then what she continues to do in this game. But we'll get to the second episode here, or second half episode. I'm not sure how it is. Brendan did say he what did he say? Worried that the old school keep the strength survivors over. Brendan, that's been kind of gone for a while though. So
welcome to the game.
It's okay. So let's go
right after Tribal.
Let's go right after Tribal with Jacob. When I had jumped the gun a little while ago, Jacob comes back and trying to figure out who's gone, and she's surprised that Gonzalez is gone, and tells his big lie to his tribe about what happened out there, and first, no one believed him.
Even before that, Dominic finds an idol in the dark.
Yeah, I think which of course he did because he's Tony. But I think that the idea of him just sitting there awake, like, dude, it's night 3. Relax. Like, already, like, I know 100% if I was ever out there, which I'm not ever going to be out there, but if I was ever out there, paranoia would eat me alive. I 100% know that I would be paranoid the whole time. But I thought that just watching Dominic just like sit there awake, like hovering over these people was a little bit much. But good for him. He found an idol that he actually gets to keep instead of giving it to someone else. Yeah. It was Andrea's idol from when she went home with it in her pocket. I guess I never either put that together that she was the first female to go home with an idol in her pocket, but that was kind of a little interesting tidbit of information that we had. But so then once Dominic has this idol, he tries to mend ties with Chris. But he immediately lies to Chris and says he has no idol, and then minutes later shows him a fake idol with the real clue. What's the purpose of this? I don't understand this.
I don't think he.
I messaged Doug, and I'm like, "Can you explain to me? I don't get it. You're saying now that you have an idol. You do have a freaking idol. So you told him you have one. Who cares if you showed him the fake one? You're still telling him you have an idol, idiot. You should have stuck with you don't have it. Because, what's going to happen is, does anybody have an idol you want to play? If he plays the fake idol first, right? He can't play the real idol after that, right? So then all Probst is going to say is, this is fake.
So he's not gonna. He won't play the fake idol. Here's the mistake he did. First of all, he didn't think that Chris is gonna say, "Show me an idol, and I'll trust you." He
believed Chris is asinine.
No, but it was the exact opposite for Chris. Chris was, "Show me an idol. Oh, now that you showed me an idol, I know I need to get rid of you now." Like that's the idea. I understand that he was trying to build it with Chris, and that he was like, "I'll use this on you, and you can take it." And so Chris is not looking for an idol anymore because he knows Dominic has it.
Yes, but that's
Dominic
the mistake.
Really does have it. So
that's the mistake is that he showed him the idol, thinking he was gonna get on the good side, when really Chris was never gonna believe him. Because either way, Chris was gonna be gunning for him either way, no matter what.
Exactly. Yeah. Now you know, even though it's. I don't know. I thought it was useless at that point in time. Maybe if you say, "Okay, Chris, I'm building alliance. Here's this idol I'm going to give to you. This is yours now. Let's be a team." But the fact that he said that he still kept it, I don't know. I think it was all of the negative with none of the positive.
And this is where my word from unnecessary comes from. Yeah. None of this was necessary. It just made no sense. You either tell him you have the idol, show him the real idol, or just stick with you don't have an idol.
Now, what he can do, because he's not gonna play the fake idol on himself. No. What he can do is pretend to give Chris, and Chris is gonna be like, "I'm gonna play this idol, and I'm gonna get rid of Dominic." Then he plays his real idol, and Dominic and Chris goes. Yeah. So that way, but I just don't think the way it played out was the best way to play it out.
Not at all. But so immediately after this, we go to our immunity, which, as I was saying, this is the one that should have been first. But so we see them; they have to race through obstacles, release the buoys, and gather and shoot 8 shots into a basket. The winner also gets comfort of chairs and pillows, where Wendell has already built better ones back at camp. But Angela volunteers to sit out because she barely can swim, it sounds like, but looks like so can James. But
yeah, holy crap.
When we get into this, Naviti gets out to an early lead, but James really struggles to dive underwater. But Donathan just sits there and watches. So this was my problem. So eventually Donathan does get in there, and about 20 minutes later, when the other tribe already has 7 out of their 8 baskets, basically, Donathan gets in there and releases it after sitting on the sidelines watching, and becomes a hero because he opened it and he did it. He wasted so much time for that tribe just sitting on the sideline when he could have been doing something while James is out there basically drowning.
Let's remember what we Sari did it too, right? Sari got the hero treatment too. But let's remember what we said about Cassandra in Millennials vs. Gen X when she was not giving up and she did at the end. Everyone blamed her. So why didn't Sari get blamed?
But Sari did it. Sari did it after the challenge was over.
True.
The challenge was already over, and Sari
and
Donathan was sitting there on the side, not even in the water, already on the ledge, leaving James out there high and dry for way too long. And his team's encouraging him, go, help us. We need to win this. It's like, no.
They call him too short in the first place.
And that's what I'm saying is that Probst is the one that made him the hero.
100%. That's my problem.
Whereas, like, let's say, like Cassandra, know that he made her the GOAT.
Yeah, and like even at Tribal Council later, we see Probst specifically say, well, for all of you except for Donathan, this challenge was a major bust. Like,
he's the one that caused
here's the question. Do we know it was 20 minutes?
No, but they were basically done with the other.
But it could have been 5 minutes. It could have been a very small.
It could have been.
But those 5 minutes cost them a lot of time.
There was enough time for the next person to swim completely down the whole way, gather all 8 buoys, and then for them to make 6 or 7 shots already. That's way too long for you to be sitting on the sideline.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that Donathan is a hero in any way. What I'm saying is that I give him the credit for completing it when James, there was absolutely zero chance James was doing that.
Yeah.
Or really Jonathan for that matter. So now we have to question, why were those two the decisions to decide to dive under?
Well, I agree with that, but Donathan got it pretty quickly.
Yeah,
He did. Once he went in, he got it.
Once
James,
he actually tried.
I was really shocked at how bad James was at this challenge.
I shared that at I forgot who it was that shared it. It was like, Jonathan, I can't do it, and then he does big old flip into the water. It's like, I mean, that's what happened. He actually did a little
I don't know.
jump, but he was able to deep fast.
That just angered me so much. And then how he got a hero treatment after basically losing it, and then James immediately taking all the blame. Yes, I understand James was partially, if not half of the blame. I agree. But the fact that James was the goat of this whole thing and Donathan was some hero, I can never buy that narrative on this one.
And I'm agreeing with you, and Donathan's on my team, so.
Yeah, not a fan. But easily, again, Naviti wins. And because he's such a hero, they send Donathan to Ghost Island, and Jacob was not happy. And I thought,
no, he's all like, they were going to send him again. What, do you think you're going to survive this whole game by constantly going to Ghost Island?
And he even said it. He's like, last time you guys sent Jacob, and he's like, and you're going to send me again. Like, no, I was so over him.
Yeah, because that's what you normally see. Like when Exile Island was around, you would normally send the same. Like, well, Sugar went how many times? Because you just send the same person. It kind of, if someone find the idol, it's going to be that one person from that tribe. If not, it's going to be someone from your tribe. Yeah. So you limit the amount of people who are out there. You kind of take away the guessing game on who finds. If someone is to find the idol, you kind of limit who has it. So that this makes sense, but that's not. He shouldn't have.
Jonathan's a damn hero, so we better send him. Like, I don't know. I was so frustrated here.
Well, at least he didn't get a advantage to play.
Yeah. No game for you.
No game for you.
I loved that.
All right, guys. Where are we at here?
Well, we can basically skip over Donathan's Ghost Island. Nothing really happens there. So we go back to camp for Malolo, and James takes responsibility for the loss. And we start seeing a little bit of strategy play out. Brendan wants to split the votes between Jacob and James, just in case. No one believes Jacob's idol is real, but just in case. Jacob is definitely the target. And then here's something so I didn't notice this until the rewatch, but at this point in time, it is Brendan, Michael, and Stephanie Johnson. And at that point in time, Brendan says, we need to make Jacob very comfortable. And Stephanie says, okay, I'll go buddy up to him. I don't think I saw that line the first time I watched, because I legitimately believed Stephanie that she was all on board. And spoiler alert, she votes for him at the end. She ends up voting for Jacob. So like that blew my mind until on the rewatch. So again, we had our blinders on to Stephanie Johnson. She was great. She was great.
She was phenomenal.
She works with Jacob, makes him feel very comfortable that they're going to end up voting for Michael. She gets all this information out of Jacob on his way out the door. She finds out that the idol was fake, and she finds out about Morgan's legacy advantage. And she said, good, I'm done with you. I got everything I need from you. Have a good one. Enjoy the pre-jury trip.
You guys knocked me so hard when I picked her for the draft.
Hey, you took Jacob first. Let's remember that. You took Jacob first. Yeah.
Fine.
Let's remember that Brandy and I still have all our picks.
Yeah.
And I think that we might be safe for a while.
That's fine. You know why? Because in Game Changers, you lost one of your people first, and I didn't lose a person until like episode 3, and then I lost them all. And I didn't lose anybody to episode 3 or 4 in last season, and then I lost them all. So I lost someone first. I'm okay.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But I thought this one, like, the show really tricked me on this one. And
yes.
I legitimately thought Michael was in more trouble than he was. I was really worried because I like Michael and I don't like Jacob. So when we get to tribal council, James apologizes again, takes the blame. Jacob talks about Ghost Island, and this is where Brendan starts to worry. Like, you can see him and Michael talking that we might be getting set up here. Like, we may not be as solid as we thought. But you do see in this group that it really seems that Brendan, Michael, and Libby are a pretty close three.
But do you think that's because he's starting to doubt his trust with Stephanie Johnson?
Well, did she play it too hard? That's because I don't know. I don't know what really triggered him to start to see that, if he just believed the lies that Stephanie was telling, or if Stephanie was ever really thinking that way and just figured out that she didn't have the number. I don't know.
And you know what? I'm with you. I didn't see where she said, I'm gonna go comfort him. So at one point I actually thought that maybe they were gonna be like turn this on Stephanie because she's getting too close to Jacob. So since we're not sure about his idol, let's get Stephanie out.
I thought there was the episode, the show really did trick me on this one. This is the one I really was worried for Michael. Speaking of Michael, he's a lot bigger than I thought he was too.
Yeah.
I know that
he's about as big as I thought he was.
I don't know. Seeing him standing next to Brendan, how he was a lot more bigger and muscular than I expected him to be. I think he just looks like a football player to me.
Let me tell you this. He definitely doesn't look 18.
No, absolutely
not. Let me tell you, no one is ever going to question how old he is.
Yeah, and he doesn't act
23, and we all buy it.
No, he doesn't act 18. I was a little worried that she might flip, but I did hear the conversation the first time I watched that she was going to set Jacob up. But then she had the conversation with Libby. Was it that she said Jenna that she might vote Michael out? And I'm like, are they just doing this for the cameras to make
that's kind of what
viewers think? I go, Michael, there's no way they're voting Michael out to keep freaking Jacob, who can't do anything. No freaking way. But I'm like, please don't. I do like Michael beyond having him in my draft. And he was my second to last pick. I really think he has a lot of potential. He's not immature. He's not cocky.
Yeah.
He's athletic. He gets along with Brandon. And I think that is a good mix. So I'm happy because I have all these good players in my draft.
And, you know what? Michael's another one of those pretty obvious merge boots, but there's a lot of other big muscular guys in front of him. So we'll see. But when we get down to it, ends up being 5-2-1, 5 for Jacob. Libby and Michael voted for James, and then Jacob voted for Michael in a very snarky kind of weird voting confessional that I thought was really weird, but that was Jacob. And Jacob's out the door.
Bye, Seth Rogen.
See ya. Bye, Bob Ross. So do we want to do draft and then goodbye?
Let's have Mark say his goodbye.
Mark, goodbye first. Okay. Go for
All
it.
right. Like I said during the draft episode, I picked this guy first just because we have a similar career path, and that's about it. I kind of knew he was in trouble going into it because he was already nerding out when he was in the interviews, and I could only imagine how bad it was going to be when we get into the actual show, and he proved it. Not to say that he didn't provide a lot of entertainment. I think he did that. There was a lot of very comical kind of mishaps with him and how he perceives himself as opposed to how he's perceived by others. But I think this is going to be a learning experience for him. And I think people actually want to see him again, surprisingly. I'm not Randy. Randy's like, no.
Yeah,
I think that he had, I think, 6 confessionals that episode. I mean, they definitely paid lots of attention to him. I don't know if they'd ever bring him back, because how often do they bring back first boots?
Not often.
Once.
Yeah.
He was second. Give him a little bit of credit. He was second boot.
He was second out.
True.
First was Gonzalez.
They do. If you listen to the finale of First One Out, they do play some of his music. and I thought that wasn't bad. I thought he was actually his song was pretty good. I actually enjoyed it. I thought Jacob, like, a lot of people, there were some people that were really high on Jacob going into the preseason. I was not. I didn't hate him in the preseason. I just didn't think to me, he fell much lower. He was probably like 13th, 14th on my list of where I would have picked him. So he wasn't my least favorite, but he definitely proved why I didn't want him. I just thought that I thought he not only wasn't a good player, I thought he was a jerk. And so I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah, it stinks because I thought before the show started, he might be a little bit more like Ryan, and I really liked Ryan from Survivor, but he was no Ryan.
And I gotta say that if it wasn't for him going to Ghost Island, Gonzalez would probably still be there. So, because I think they might have had a chance to win that second immunity challenge if she was there.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's true. Well, looking at our draft, can you guys see it when I'm talking?
Yep.
Can you see the draft? Okay. Looking at the draft,
a three-way tie.
yeah, we have I'm going to say Kim and I are in first because we have all 5 of our people. But Kim has 26 points, still with Brendan, Wendell, Jenna, Michael, and Chris. I also have 26 points with James, Sebastian, Kellen, Laurel, and Libby. Mark also has 26 points, but only has Bradley, Stephanie, Jay, Angela, and Chelsea. By the way, 3 of your people didn't even have a confessional.
I was just going to say 3 of them didn't have a confessional.
Whatever.
There was 4 people without a confessional this 2-hour premiere: Bradley, Angela, Chelsea, and Libby. Yeah. And Saul is right behind us in 4th with 25, with only 4 people: Dominic, Morgan, Donathan, and Desiree. So we really do. It's really interesting how close we all are. But looking at our teams, honestly, I feel good with James, Sebastian, Kellen, Laurel, and Libby. The fact that I got Kellen and Laurel as my 3 and 4 picks makes me very happy. I think James has a lot of potential as long as they're not in the water. And if they are in the water, I got Sebastian. So, and then I think Libby is going to be a silent threat this season. I really am starting to have more faith in her, with seeing her get into some good alliances with Brendan and Michael, and hearing some of the interviews with the Survivor press that were out there for the first 3 days, kind of being high on Libby after they saw her. So that makes me feel better about her as well.
So Jenna's the tall one, right? And Libby's the shorter one.
Yeah,
okay.
Jenna's the tall one.
I couldn't figure out who was who.
Yeah, they're both on the same tribe, and they barely spoke. But yeah, Jenna is the taller one, and Libby is shorter and is always like very smiling.
And with makeup.
Yeah. I like my tribe. I do. I think even after this episode, I was happy with my tribe. I was mostly happy with Michael. Michael impressed me the most.
With Brendan, Wendell, and Michael are 3 strong ones, in my opinion. I think Jenna and Chris aren't going to last all that long, but I think your other 3 are great picks.
Yeah.
Here's what I think is going to happen, because we do kind of, and I guess we can just jump in real quick here before we get into our MVPs. We can see we're going to have a tribe swap next week, and I think Wendell and Dominic are going to stay close, hopefully in the same tribe, but I think we're going to stay close. I think they're going to be able to bring in Michael. Based just because what they said on their pregame. Dom said he was able to actually feel like Michael's actually a good guy, while everyone else was kind of saying he was a I forgot what they were saying about it, but it wasn't flattering about him. They didn't feel like he was going to be too trustworthy, where Dom was the one like, no, he's a man of his word.
99.9% sure we're getting 3 tribes of 6.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, and that's gonna
and 99.9% that other tribe is Ichabula Green. Just saying.
I really, 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 really hate 3 tribes.
Yeah, I'm over it. But the normal tribe spoiler that comes out every year, which happens to be Boston Rob's pictures of his daughters wearing the buffs early, where you see 4 distinct buffs of different colors, all with the Ghost Island logo on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's kind of a dead giveaway.
Yeah, it happens every year. He'll post a picture of his 4 daughters wearing the buffs, and you'll see, yeah. So that makes me fairly confident that we're getting three tribes of 6 next week.
All right,
That's
guys.
gonna really hurt people's games.
Yeah,
man.
but I'm all for more switches. I think especially early. I think the earlier you have them and the more you have them, it makes for more of an interesting later season. That we're not going to have a pagonging. It really, when you're only 6 days in and you switch up the dynamics, I'm all for it.
Yeah. And let's go ahead and get to our. Let's get with our
Questions?
No, let's get to the least valuable player first.
The least valuable player, Jacob.
Jacob was my least valuable player because he would have been voted out at both tribal councils. He would have been out at the first one. I think that he played too hard, too fast. He was a jerk about it, and he couldn't get over his super fanness.
Yeah, I agree, Jacob.
Yep, me too.
Okay, MVP, and I'm gonna jump in real quick because I've been saying it. Stephanie.
Yeah, I think Stephanie was the one that we saw be the most strategic this episode. I think, especially with how low we had her, I'm pretty sure I thought she was going to be first boot because she
me too.
She interviewed horribly. I thought her interviews were absolutely terrible. So I had no faith in her, but I think that she was a lot better than I gave her credit for. So way to go. I'm very happy for her. I'm also going to give it, I think, Wendell. I think he played a low-key, great first episode. I think building a good alliance when Sebastian brought up the idea of voting out his alliance mate, I think that he did a good job of, okay, but keep thinking on that. Let's think about other things. And then being able to calmly convey that to Dominic without having Dominic completely blow up about it. I think Wendell and he was strong. He made those baskets pretty easily in that immunity challenge. He's an asset around camp. I think he showed a good premiere.
Yeah.
I would. I'm just going to agree on both of those.
Yeah.
Definitely. I can't think of anyone else who's standing out that I didn't think was going to do great. There's people you could forget that were there. Bradley, who?
Yeah.
Who's Chelsea? You know what I mean? These are people they didn't even show.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mar.
The fact that Libby went to both tribal councils and didn't get a confessional is amazing to me.
Maybe that's just how boring she is.
Did she talk at the beginning though? Before when they were starting?
You see her talking a little bit to Brendan and Michael. That's really the only time you see her speak is when they're talking, when Brendan's bringing up, hey, they could be double crossing us and actually voting for one of us 3. And she kind of adds a little bit to that conversation. But I think that's the only time we actually see her speak.
The thing is, even through her interviews, I could just see her going into confessionals, be like Bible this, got that, and they can't use anything from her confessionals. That's just kind of why her confessionals are just not showing.
Yeah.
And my MVP, I do love Stephanie. She showed very well. I think everybody pre-show got blinded by her rainbow tights, and we just didn't see her game going in. But I'm actually gonna give it to Brendan. I'm gonna give it to Brendan because he controlled both rounds. He had the major control through both votes, and I think that's that's strong gameplay. Maybe a little too on the radar, but at least he's having control. Like Stephanie, yeah, she did some undercover work, but she wasn't completely telling other people who to vote for. That was on Brendan. So I'm gonna give the MVP to Brendan.
I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
Brendan.
I have a question. Not on your draft. We ask this every year or every season. Who is your winner? We go for them to see how much it changes through each episode. You can't pick someone on your draft.
Well, I'm pretty sure I did that preseason. When we picked our winner pick in the preview, I'm
I
pretty
think
sure
I'm the only one that did.
I'm pretty sure I went with Brendan as my winner pick. That wasn't on my draft. I can't remember. It was either Brendan or Morgan because they were my I think, but I'm pretty sure I picked Brendan as my winner.
And you still sticking with him right now? Even change
I
it?
think so. I think he'll get cut when the alpha males get cut, but I'm still very happy with the way he's playing.
Mhm.
I think the only one that actually picked someone from their own team, which was Morgan, but
Mm-hmm.
I actually think Wendell might take it.
Yeah, I think Wendell's good.
I think Stephanie is going to play she's going to play a really strategic game, but it's going to cost her at the end. She's going to piss someone off, and they're going to turn on her.
Yeah,
That's what I think too. I think that it's gonna be the bitter jury, because
I think she'll make it to the end. I don't think she'll make it to the end because I think someone will actually turn on her. And if she does make it to the end, she's going to get wrestle hands.
So the play for her is to insanely befriend Morgan whenever she does the tribe swap. Hope she's with Morgan, become her best friend, and then get her voted out so she can get the legacy and be the only one that knows about it.
that's what I would do.
Maybe. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right, Mark, who's your winner? Not on your draft.
I don't remember who I picked preseason, but right now I'm having good vibes on Laurel. She's playing a quiet game. She's not on anybody's radar, and she's in the talks. So I think she's doing great. So I would love to see her go far in this game.
Agreed.
And my winner pick, not on my tribe, would be. Even though I think that she might go, I'm going to go with Stephanie.
I like it.
All right. So, last question, guys. Potential for the season?
I think this was a great setting the stage for the rest of the season episode. I think this explained what we're gonna see with Ghost Island. I love the nostalgia of it all. That's the word I was trying to think of when I was thinking of a one word was nostalgia. I wish I would have thought of that at the beginning of the podcast. But I think that having that common thread throughout the season is really fun. I think that especially when they're like, well, Sierra completely screwed it up, so let's see what you do, and just completely shade former players. I think that's hilarious. But I think this has a lot of potential. I like the cast. There's a lot of people on the cast that I like. There's a lot of people on the cast that I don't like, but it's like they're a good character. I thought Jacob was a pretty good character. Didn't like him. I think that I'm not a fan of Donathan, but I think he's a good character. So I think that it's a fun. I think there's only a few just invisible people, but maybe they'll pop up later in the season. So to me, that was Ashley Nolan last season. I thought Ashley Nolan was a complete invisible person for most of the beginning. Yeah, she was with JP, whatever. There wasn't anything there. But by the end of it, I loved Ashley Nolan. I thought Ashley Nolan was great by the end of it.
And I liked her a lot more when her Ponderosa video.
Ponderosa, exactly. I think Ponderosa we love her. But I think that there's a good potential to this season.
Yeah, I'm stoked about it. It's washing the way Triple H. While Triple H is not the hate.
People didn't dislike Triple H. I don't know.
I don't know. It's not that I disliked it. It's just I don't know. It kind of gave me a bad taste. I don't know.
I think I'm an easy to please Survivor fan. I don't know.
If you talk to me about all the different seasons, there's a lot of seasons that I can tell you that people dislike that I love.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. There was something about Triple H that kind of left me with a bad taste.
I understand.
Yeah, I'm
the
in
reunion.
agreement. So
I like Gabon. I like Guatemala. Yeah. I even like Redemption Island. So I'm not hard to please. It's just.
I'm gonna go with
the reunion show kind of tainted me on.
There was something there. I just felt not right, especially at the end.
Yep.
So I'm glad, and anxious to see what the season brings. I want to see where the stick's gonna pop up.
Yep, it'll be there.
It's one of the first things they showed, isn't it?
In one of those urns, it'll be there.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, guys. Well, we'll go ahead and leave it there. Remember to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Share the video. If you can find us on iTunes, and on if you don't have iTunes, you can find us on Podomatic, and I'll be sharing the links. So you can follow us on Twitter at Perspective. At Randy, where's your Twitter?
My Twitter's at Randy Noop, and I do want one small shout out here at the end. That's a little bit unrelated, but if you're a fan, I know this is gonna. Please, especially if you're in Canada, please vote for my friend Kirsten to get on to Big Brother Canada. She's a good friend of mine. Any super fan out there, anyone that's a fan of the show, please get her in that house. She's up for a public vote against one other girl, and I'm hoping that she makes it in there. So if you're in Canada, please vote for Kirsten.
Wait, what's happening?
Oh, we'll talk afterwards.
Okay.
Mark, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at MarcoPolo310, and you can also follow our coverage of the latest season of The Amazing Race on my channel at youtube.com/MarcoPolo310.
And Kim?
You can find me at Kim_is__board.
And you can find me, like I said, on Twitter at Perspective. You can also find me at NerdsFTC, where I also do my other podcasts, Nerds from the Crypt. You guys, we'll see you guys next time, and we'll be there waiting for the next ghost to appear next week.
Bye-bye.
Deuces.